Man, Summer Game Fest last night was pretty crazy, wasn't it? Well, I think it's time we get back to actual usual work. So, here we go. What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome back to Anime Station, which is your anything with animation, including a SpongeBob lives on a pineapple on the sea, as well as TV and movies as well. I am your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to SpongeBob Month 5, and yep, you are getting 2 episode reviews again today, because I pretty much saved all my upload stuff for Summer Game Fest last night. And trust me when I say it was worth it, you will be getting some separate live reactions from that stream upload here separately later today. So that's what you had to look forward to. You have this episode review, you have the second episode review, then you have my review of Bad Boys 4. Hopefully I get to see it today. And a couple live reactions from Summer Game Fest. So that's what you had to look forward to. So, without further ado, let's dive into today's episodes, Roller Cowards and Bucket Sweet Bucket. And we're actually going to start with the better one first. But let me tell you right now, neither of these episodes are bad. These are both good episodes, so we have a little bit to talk about. So let's not waste any more time and dive straight into Roller Cowards. This is an episode that's always had a special place in my heart, ever since I first saw it. Heck, apparently it was so good that it was one of the only modern episodes to make the 10 Happiest Moments DVD episode list. So, yeah, needless to say, it's a pretty great episode, and it's one that means a lot to me personally, because for those of you that don't know, I do not like roller coasters, like, at all. I've always been terrified of them. My first experience was one of the most herky-jerky, terrible pieces of crap that I have ever been on, and it was a really bad experience, and I haven't really wanted to be on a roller coaster ever since. So, finding a SpongeBob episode that I completely forgot about initially, where SpongeBob and Patrick share my fear of riding a giant roller coaster, even though obviously it's exaggerated because it is a cartoon, it still brought me some kind of comfort and relatability. Not to mention the episode itself is pretty funny. So, yeah, in this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick hear about this big new roller coaster that's coming out at Glove World the next day, Fiery Fist of Pain. Well, after, of course, Patrick breaks through SpongeBob's wall. Usual Patrick. And then they act all confident and excited to be first in line to get on this roller coaster, but overnight they both get really scared, but don't have they can't tell each other. They can't bring themselves to tell each other because they don't want to disappoint each other. That is true friendship right there. And it gets pretty interesting later on, like we see SpongeBob has a nightmare where apparently he thinks that roller coaster is going to lead to his death. There's rumors that the roller coaster will result in spine loss. One of those dark jokes of SpongeBob I absolutely love. And then SpongeBob and Patrick also decide to ride the little roller coasters so maybe it'll help them with the bigger roller coaster later. But then they go screaming on the mitten, which is pretty funny. And then you have Patrick trying to get a picture with Glovey Glove, but he's terrified, which, I mean, doesn't make entire sense because he had no problem with Jeffrey Jellyfish, but I'm going to let it slide because SpongeBob never follows continuity. Well, rarely ever follows continuity, I should say. And the episode just gets a little bit more crazy from there until we get to the highlight of the episode, which is the penultimate part right before they get on this roller coaster, where both of them are facing their fears. SpongeBob is talking to a melted ice cream. That's my first highlight. That one's pretty cool. And the ice cream actually starts whacking him over the head, which is pretty funny. And then the second part that's in the same scene, and also my second highlight of the episode, and my favorite part of the episode, honestly, is when Patrick is trying to talk himself up in the mirror that he has no reason to be scared, and his reflection in the mirror calls him a crybaby. So what does Patrick do? He lays him out immediately. I thought we settled this the last time. Oh, that part's so funny. It'll never stop making me laugh. And then if that wasn't funny enough, going back to the ice cream bit, when SpongeBob and Patrick leave, to go on this roller coaster when they hear that Glove World's closing in 5 minutes. Turns out the ice cream is actually sentient, because then it starts yelling at the guy cleaning up the mess they left. What are you looking at? It's pretty funny. And then when they finally confront the roller coaster, it kind of almost feels like me confronting a roller coaster in a way, because I relate a lot to SpongeBob here. And they admit to themselves that they were trying to act tough and didn't tell the other how they felt because they didn't want to disappoint each other. Dude, sweet ending. And then they actually go on the roller coaster, they survive the roller coaster, they actually end up liking it, but they do lose their spines in the process. Like, just wild, crazy episode, and I will always, always love it. It's relatable, it's funny, it's entertaining, and there's a reason why it's on the 10 Happiest Moments DVD. It is one of those episodes of modern SpongeBob that I'm going to look back on fondly as, like, well, the show didn't go completely downhill. There were still gems and highlights. I mean, was it great? No, but, I mean, it does have its great episodes. I mean, we've talked about a good few of them already in this marathon. We've talked about Friend or Foe, the original Fry Cook, Spy Buddies, Krabs a la Mode, and this episode, Roar Cowards, which is almost perfect. Almost. My problem is that the second act has really bad pacing. That's the one problem, but outside of that, it's a relatable, fun, enjoyable, hilarious episode of SpongeBob, and it's one that'll always be close to my heart and will always help me through a tough situation. So, because of that, it gets a little bit of extra leniency from me, and I'm going to give it a final verdict of a 9 out of 10. Great episode. I will always love this episode, and I can't thank SpongeBob enough for actually having an episode that tackles one of my personal fears and brings me a kind of comfort in a way, as well as just being funny and hilarious. So, yep. I've talked enough about Roller Cowards. It's a great episode. Check it out if you haven't already. Let's move on to Bucket Sweet Bucket. Okay, so here we are at Bucket Sweet Bucket, and yeah, it's not a great episode, no, but I think it's a pretty good episode with some cool ideas, but some serious faults. So in this episode, Karen gets Plankton to try and re-innovate the chum bucket, clean up the mess, try to paint the outside to look nice, but he decides to get the help of SpongeBob and Patrick. Bad idea. And they eventually end up converting it into the Krusty Krab, which is pretty funny. And also Squidward gets involved when he sees that Patrick and SpongeBob obviously have no idea how paint works. And then Squidward paints this amazing masterpiece. And then, but the problem is he made it specific to himself because it's like squids in a Greek mythology kind of style. It's cool, but it doesn't obviously fit what Plankton's trying to do. And then SpongeBob fixes the pipes. And then the episode ends when Mr. Krabs came back from his vacation. And obviously Plankton tried to steal the formula, because of course he did. That's the one part of the episode that's annoying, because, I mean, come on, dude. Can we have one episode where you're not trying to steal the formula? It gets a little tired after a while. But in the finale, Krabs takes the Krusty Krab back to where it's supposed to be. And then the episode ends not only with Plankton and Karen out with no house, or no chum bucket, but Squidward reuses all the chum bucket stuff that was with the Krusty Krab when Krabs took it back, and he turned it into a really cool medieval theme. Very creative on his part, and I really like it. Not to mention, it's one of the times where Squidward gets to be creative, and he's not immediately criticized for it or treated as a joke because of it. So, yeah, it's not Squidward torture porn. Thank you. I will appreciate that whenever it happens, because it's going to start getting rarer and rarer as the seasons go on. So, yeah, the episode is pretty good, but I do feel like it is a little bit slow. There is a pretty bad animation error when Plankton and SpongeBob are walking into the decrepit chum bucket in one part of the episode, and you can tell that Plankton's walk cycle was not animated. Like, that is a really bad animation error. And the episode itself is not super funny, but it has its good moments. My highlight of the episode, it's gotta be when Plankton inscribes SpongeBob and Patrick to paint the chum bucket, and they end up getting Squidward's attention. Squidward gets into it. It just becomes a whole crazy thing. It's hilarious. Easily the highlight of the episode. But the ending's a close second. I do love the whole medieval theme of the Krusty Krab at the end. Then again, if you saw my Dungeons & Dragons review, you would already know that, because that's my favorite episode of SpongeBob, so... yeah, as this episode is, it's pretty good. I can't call it great, because it does have problems. It's slow, it's not super funny, and it is very repetitive with some of its gags. But it is repetitive, but it is still pretty entertaining, and by no means a bad episode. It's just a little bit simple. And because of that, final verdict for this episode is going to be a 6 out of 10. It is a pretty good episode of SpongeBob. I do enjoy it. I'll watch it when it's on, but it's not one that I actively revisit. Well, that's it. Time for final thoughts and rankings. Alright, so final thoughts. This was a pretty good double feature. By far from the best one we've had this season, seasonal review so far, but it was still a pretty good time, a pretty good watch, especially the best one of the bunch. But it was still pretty good, and I'll always take a good episode when we get into these garbage seasons. So yeah, this one isn't garbage overall, but it has its really bad moments. And you will see what I'm talking about next time, but we'll get there when we get there. First of all, let's get to the ranking. Obviously, second place is going to Bucket Sweet Bucket. It's not in shame, but it is definitely outclassed because of its repetitiveness and some parts that just aren't very funny. But it's still an entertaining episode nonetheless. And then number 1 is easily Roller Cowards. It's easily the best episode of these two, and it is an episode that will always have a special place in my heart. As someone who has a fear of roller coasters, this one brings me a nice bit of comfort. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this episode review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one every single day. And, what do we got next? Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. We have to. Oh, boy. Okay. Join me next time when we dive into the bottom of the barrel with 2 of the worst episodes in not just the season, but arguably in all of SpongeBob. See you then. We cannot take it anymore, the time has